One.
Hello, Evony community. This is Hex again, streaming with Sassy. Back by popular demand, I guess. I don't know if it's popular, but it's demand for sure. I've been asked about binding and why and how to do the binding because it seems like some people are confused with initiator and acceptor, things like that. So I'm going to run through that today. The previous videos we did on the Blazons was well received. We also just did another video on duty generals and what's required for those. This one now will be focused on the binding. So we're going to be making more of these videos. We're starting to help our own server. There's a lot of people who've been playing and have questions, and might not be up to date with what's required. We want to make sure everybody's aligned and doing things the right way and not just wasting time and money. So please like, share, subscribe if you appreciate the content so that you can be alerted about the new videos coming in. Try to keep them short because nobody wants to sit here for an hour watching a video. Um, get right to the point. Binding. Why do I want binding? So this is not my account here, working in someone else's account today, but this person just got Ragnar and would really like to put Ragnar as their main assistant. Sorry, Sigurd. As you can see, Sigurd doesn't have the specialties, and there's enough to do the first one, there's enough to do the second one, there's enough to do the third one, but surprise, surprise, the ever so dreadful fourth one is always so difficult to get and to do. Those are uh, much more rare. So she's not going to be able to use this one unless we bind her. So binding is a way to save rune stones, or if you don't have enough rune stones, it can buy you some time where you can use the general until you get enough rune stones. This is where you bind. You go to Council of State, right where your Senate is at, next to the Senate tab, you can see Soul Binding. And you click on Soul Binding. Something that's very useful here because Ebony doesn't always have the best ways of wording things. And I think, to be fair, it's probably because there's just so many different languages and cultures um, in the game that are involved in the game. So you can click on this eye here, and it gives you all the details of what you need to do the binding. I'll just kind of give you a quick Cliff Notes summary on this. So the first one is basically you need to have the same generals. You can't use you can't bind a ground general to an archer general. Second one, the general has to be at least level 35, and all four specialties have to be maxed. This third one, the binding initiator can only have one binding acceptor at the same time, which means, okay, that's obvious. You're binding one guy, you can't bind him to two other people. So if I'm, for example, using Minamoto to bind Sigurd, I can't also use Minamoto to bind Ragnar. Even though they're all archers, Minamoto's already involved in this binding thing. They're very monogamous, I guess. um, that's number three. Number four, after soul bonding is interrupted. So say you bind one and accidentally didn't want to bind that one and you got to cancel it, they'll give you a reimbursement of the materials, kind of prorated based on how long you had it bound. Each soul bonding is 15 days. After you have 3 days remaining, you can renew. If you renew, you're not allowed to stop the binding until it's almost ready to complete again. It won't give you the remaining materials. Every time you bind a general, its bound count goes up. After you bind it 10 times, you don't have to waste materials anymore. You still have to go in and bind, but when you bind, it won't cost you anything to bind. So binding is really a way to buy you time for rune stones. You can collect those rune stones over time. If you have a general there that you bound 10 times and now it's free, you can continue to bind them. I would just say you got to remember to do that. I've joined some battles and I forgot to bind my guys, having enough of everything. Still forgot to bind them and wondering, scratching my head why my stats are so low. But yeah, you got to remember to do that. And when a general is bound more than one time, is dismissed. I said that portion of your materials come back as kind of prorated. The flexible specialty is never bound. What you have to do is if you're binding a player that has uh, specialties, fifth specialty, you can just remove it off that player and put it on anyone you want. You can do that over here. Go to your items. Where was it? Uh, all right, so let's go here. Soul binding, and the first one you're going to pick is the one you want to receive the benefits. So I'm going to try to bind Sigard. You see, he's already been bound 3 times. Now that he's off binding, all his specialties are grayed out because they're not permanent until it's 10 times. Well, still, even after 10 times, it's not permanent. You got to bind them again. So this is what binding is going to do. It's going to make all of these specialties gold, and it's going to increase his level and his attributes to whatever the acceptor is. In this case, we're going to use Minamoto. You could see Minamoto's all 4 are there. Select him. You bind, and this tells you the difference, what's going to happen to your guy. So these 4 are now gold. The 5th specialty doesn't show up here because it's not involved in this process, but it will still stay on Ragnar. It's not going to disappear like this is indicating here. And the base stats, you can see the base stats kind of go up a little bit. You got 1546, now you're 1569, 1604 to 1615. They're matching basically what Minamoto's were. 1502, 1473. Nothing else changes. These aren't affected. The skill books aren't affected. They don't match skill books. You still need to add the skill books. And then you click bind. I'm not going to do it here, but I have enough, 110. Just don't want to use them until the player is ready to use a castle. I like to do it kind of like when SVS starts so that I know that I have it. Every SVS, I got to start it. And that's just a quick reminder to myself. But that's binding in a nutshell. Really good way to save rune stones. Really good way to gain attributes on new generals while you collect those rune stones and get ready to level them up. Hope that was helpful for some of you. Any questions, don't hesitate to comment. Please like the video if you found it helpful. Comment, share if you see something that I've forgotten, or maybe something I've gotten wrong, or something that you want more explanation on. All means, just comment. Love to hear feedback on everything. And good luck. Comment, like, subscribe. Please subscribe so that we can make sure that these videos are getting out. And if the content is relevant, like it, please.